Welcome to the show, everybody. This is episode number 179 of the Iron Coop Fights movies. This episode is available on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, and hosted by SoundCloud. I'm Kier, your host. With me on the show today are my co-hosts Emerson.
Hey, what's going on?
And Everett.
Hey, what's up?
This week, the team reviews The Amazing Spider-Man 2, followed by movie, television, and video game news. If you have not seen the review of the week and would like to avoid spoilers, check the show notes for the timestamp so you can still hear our news sections. Now on to our review of the week. Confident in his powers as Spider-Man, Peter Parker, played by Andrew Garfield, embraces his new role as a hero and spends time with Gwen Stacy, played by Emma Stone, in between protecting New York from criminals. However, his greatest battle yet is about to begin. With the emergence of Electro, played by Jamie Foxx, Peter must confront an enemy far more powerful than he is. And when his old friend Harry Osborn, played by Dane DeHaan, returns, Peter comes to realize that all his enemies have one thing in common. Oscorp. All right, I'm going to explain our rating system. On this show, we give the titles that we have watched a rating of win, draw, or loss. A win is a title that we would highly recommend, while a draw is a title we didn't love, but recognize others may appreciate. A loss means we do not recommend the title. Emerson, you want to go first?
Sure. So I went back and forth a lot between giving this a draw, then a loss, then a draw again. At the end, I am going to have to give it a draw. I personally do not like the movie. I think it has a lot of problems, but there's a few things that I think are interesting, and I also think that there's a lot of people out there who would just watch this and be like, oh, that's fun, like, that's crazy, and then just be like, yeah, that was fine. So it's a draw for me.
Okay, Everett?
Yeah, I was kind of teetering back and forth on whether to give this a draw or a loss as well. However, I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to give it a loss. And just because, while I will admit this movie fixes a lot of problems from the last one, there's not as much, shitty improv between Peter and Gwen. It's there, just not as much. And the suit design's a little bit better. But there's still a lot of problems that make it really unbearable sometimes. The entire time watching this movie, I felt like nothing was happening. It was very boring to sit through at some points. Peter Parker and Harry Osborn have, horrible chemistry, and they sound like complete douchebags when they're both on screen. And there's some parts of this movie that I'll talk about in spoilers that are just completely shoehorned in and don't make any sense. And, yeah, I'm just going to give it a loss.
All right. I give it a win, actually.
Really?
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's a shitty movie, but I enjoyed it. Maybe my expectations were so low because I had never seen this one. I had seen the first one.
I haven't seen it either.
So, I had seen a few pieces of it. I knew that Jamie Foxx was basically, the Riddler or Mr. Freeze, essentially the same exact thing. But, so I had, low expectations. I knew that what happens to Gwen at the end. And I don't know. I thought it would be worse. And I kind of enjoyed, I'm kind of in a Spider-Man mood right now. Miles Morales is about to come out. I'm playing the first game again, and it's a blast. And I'm thinking about rewatching the cartoon from the 90s because I had a lot of fun with that. And you get to see all the characters, and some of these characters were name dropped in this movie, and or briefly seen. I don't know. I didn't hate it. It does have a lot of don't get me wrong. I'm gonna rip this to shreds. But I enjoyed it. I would even watch a third one.
See, that's when the reason I give it a draw. There are parts to it that I'm like, oh, that was interesting. And there were parts where I enjoyed it. But I do agree with Everett where there's these other parts where I just got so bored. I was like, what is going on? And it has a lot of writing and pacing issues, in my opinion.
It absolutely does. I just think maybe I expected it. Maybe I think I expected it to be worse. I think that's, and I ended up kind of just, I watched it, I didn't really look away, I don't know. I know that's not a stellar review, but
in 2020, this is the winning review.
Yeah, I don't know. I did have fun with it. So anyway, let's go into spoilers, and let's start with that. What is this stuff with the parents?
Yeah, dude, I was gonna say I have in my notes Jason Bourne movie opening. That it feels like a spy novel. It's so
Yeah.
stupid.
It's
He's like,
over the top.
yeah, that whole sequence. I was like, all right, this is stupid, and I don't know why they're so like dead set. They're like, we need to make this a bigger thing. Like,
Yeah, and then it still doesn't really amount to much, like in the
Yeah,
grand scheme.
it's just like I don't know, so he can like discover something.
Yeah, but think about what it tells you about the overall plot, like how it impacts Peter. It doesn't really. The fact that his
No,
dad was a
because
scientist and
The guy who like killed him is already dead, and like
yeah, and then it's like okay, his blood, but that you didn't need any of this to do that. So-
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
like
it
what
was
makes
just
it
stupid.
worse almost. Like the fact that it doesn't really affect him that much, and it should. Because if I remember correctly, his parents, like in the comics, were like agents of Shield or something, or they were government agents of some
yeah,
kind.
but I don't like that either.
in
though.
some versions,
Yeah,
that- yeah.
in some versions,
and
yeah, but
that's the version that this movie is trying to do.
like I remember, I think it was Ultimate Spider-Man where it was Norman Osborn that came up with the spiders, not his dad. So it was a little bit more like gray area on who would get the powers and not directly related to Peter. Because, like I said in the last review, it kind of ruins the whole like it can be anyone under the mask plot line because it makes it worse in this movie that it's like directly related to his DNA.
I didn't even understand. So are they saying that because he has his father's DNA, that the spider bite gave him powers instead of like killing him?
Basically,
Well,
what
apparently,
happened- yeah.
instead of turning him into a fucking literal goblin,
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't understand. How does he turn into a goblin based on this
he
blood?
looked like the minute he got out of the car, I was like, bro, he already is a goblin. Like he has goblin-esque features.
Yeah.
Do we all agree?
Well, that might have been part
Like
of
the
the
I don't
actor
know. He's
kind of
weird.
looked.
All right, we're back after technical difficulties. We were talking about okay, how does the blood prevent him from? Is that what it is? That his dad's DNA makes him Spider-Man with the bite?
It was that because, for at least from what I understood, in order to protect his research, he directly tied the serum of the spiders to his DNA. So anybody who wasn't directly related to him would get
Becomes a
turned into
goblin.
meth mouth, like Dane DeHaan did.
Can we just say, when he gets out of the car, I was trying to say this before the technical difficulties, he looked goblin-y. Like, he looked goblin-y before he became the goblin.
Yeah, I
They
like that
didn't-
actor.
Yeah, but they didn't need to, like, ramp the goblin up to, like, 16 on the scale. Like, I was like, what is...
So his family has a disease that turns them into goblins.
I don't think it
Well-
was that. I think it was
Well, his dad had like goblin hands.
like
And green skin.
retroviral hyperplasia or something.
Yeah. Yeah, but it looks like, from what I understood, their family has some disease that causes effects that kind of makes them look goblin-y. But then him taking the venom, like, accelerated it, so he became, like, ultra goblin-y. And then he put on the armor that healed him, and I was like, why didn't you just do that without the venom? Just wear the armor, it'll heal you.
Well, I mean, he'd have to wear that armor his whole life, right?
Yeah, but now look what he looks like.
Yeah, and they took it away from him.
It's true.
I'd rather be wearing that than whatever the fuck he ended up being.
And then he has
Like-
a goblin, like he has a goblin laugh. Like, where did that come from?
I'm
He's
telling
like-
you, man, he's like meth mouth.
Yeah,
Goblin.
dude, that scene when like they've beaten Electro. There's 30 minutes left of the movie. Any other movie, it's wind down and credits, and then you hear like, and I was like,
See,
what
Yeah.
the fuck?
That was like one of my main issues that I'll talk about when we actually get there. But the fact, like, I know they were trying to set up a sequel.
Oh,
Why
really?
would
What
you-
made you think that? The 5 minute scene at the end where they like ram it down your throat?
Yeah, the Osborn Hall of Spinoffs. Yeah, but I don't know. Like that, it's why would you introduce of all villains in the Spider-Man mythos? Why would you introduce the Green Goblin, which is like one of the biggest ones, for the last 30 to 20 minutes of the movie?
Well,
Money.
because they were thinking he was going to come back in the next one. I actually don't mind that he shows up. The problem is that Harry should have been in the first one.
Yeah, like that's what I was talking about. Like shoehorn, like they pretend like he and Peter have known each other the entire time. He just shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Like they went to the same school and they were friends.
But they're different ages because he's like 20 and I'm assuming Peter's 18.
That's the other thing is Andrew Garfield clearly got bigger. Like, he looks old.
Yeah. Hey, but he knows how to make eye contact now.
Yeah. They dropped all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't stutter anymore. I actually like the scenes with him and Emma Stone.
There's more chemistry because he's not pretending like he's, as Kia said. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But the high functioning whatever they had
wrong
going
with acknowledging people like that.
No, not necessarily.
Okay, because you kind of didn't say the word like there was some type of like unwanted
I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember
species.
which word you used, so I'm trying not to say something.
I said that he was playing someone with autism.
Okay, see, there we go. I was leaning towards saying something that would have been offensive, so I cut that. See, Joe Biden's America, everybody. We don't say those words.
They definitely cut down the whole lovey-dovey improv. There was one scene that I can remember where they did it, where they're like on that date.
But what Kia was saying makes sense, where it does feel more natural, and it feels like I didn't hate those scenes either. The scenes I had an issue with is, so let's talk about this, right? The beginning of the movie, we get that weird, like, Peter Parker spy parent stuff. I think his parents should just be normal people that aren't really mentioned. I like that idea. But we get that. Then we get, I don't remember his fucking name, but the dude who's like the Russian who becomes
the Rhino.
Yeah, but I don't know the actor's name.
Paul
Giamatti.
Yeah, Paul Giamatti. That was fucking awful. That whole sequence, like they're like saying stupid shit and like he's just over the top. I hated it.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that. Spider-Man has a tendency in this movie to completely go off the rails, like, and fuck off, and have so many people get hurt. Specifically in that scene, he's, like, messing around with the Rhino. He's, like, doing all, like, that jive talk with him. Like, he's, like, being all quippy. And then, meanwhile, if you look closely, people are getting hurt and dying all over the place. Like, did you look closely and see how people were slamming into walls and cars were getting crushed, like, into tin cans? Like,
well,
he's not careful at all.
All right, so we're jumping around a lot, but let's talk more about the parents. So, did they use extra footage from the first movie? Is that what
That's
this
what
is?
it seems like.
Yeah. Then there's the assassin. Like, I don't understand what the hell he was doing. So he strangled the pilot with his bare hands, and then he walks out and gets the gun that's like in the drawer, and then he just kind of like monologues. Like, you're not an evil villain.
You're missing the part where he washes his bloody hands in front of the guy he's supposed to assassinate.
Yeah, it's like why, and he like puts on a parachute as he's monologuing.
Yeah, and like so later when Peter's dad like shoots the window and sends the guy flying out of the, isn't that okay? Like, he's lived, right?
I don't know. I thought the parachute might have been taken off in the fight.
You know, it's funny you mention that. There's a deleted scene at the end where Peter's like mourning, and his dad lives and shows up. Like, that was a completely removed scene. That was what was originally supposed to happen.
Okay. Wow. All right.
He's
Why
like,
didn't
Peter,
his dad,
I need to recruit you.
Why didn't his dad just start the upload like way earlier, like before he got on a plane?
You know, that's a good question. I was looking at that too, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if the signal would be that quick. Like, if you're uploading a lot of stuff, like, this
also,
is 2013.
Where did he upload it? Because he didn't do it to the newspapers.
He uploaded it to that fucking train.
Yeah, like, you could have done
lab.
that at any point. What the fuck was he waiting for?
Dramatic effect, I guess.
Not only did that plane have, like, perfect signal, it had perfect signal while it was destroyed going down.
Yeah, then it's, like, crashing and, like, everything's going crazy. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is so weird. And it was, like, 7 minutes of it.
It's a different type of movie. Like, if you cut those 7 minutes and put them in front of a different movie, you'd have no idea it was Spider-Man.
So, I like the intro where he's falling through the sky.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Well, that's one of the things I like, and one of the reasons I didn't give it a draw, or I didn't give it a loss. I do like a lot of his, like, movement, and I like some of the fighting and, like, the action scenes. I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thing is, though, like, as you start to watch him swinging, it becomes clear that it's, like, anytime he's not touching the ground, it's CGI. and he moves really weightlessly. Like he's way too fast and light, and he just like it looks very video gamey to me. Although the video games do it better now. What do you guys think of the suit?
I like it. It's much better from the weird, whatever motorcycle suit he was wearing last. I was gonna say last game, but last movie.
Yeah, I like the suit too. And as far as like hot toys go, this is one of the rarer ones, the rarer Spider-Man ones. People think it's very comic accurate. I like the colors. It's kind of like a deeper blue and red. The lenses, the eyes are like wider as opposed to Tobey Maguire. They had more triangular eyes. These are more bug eyes. So yeah, I prefer the suit. So then he like saves Max, and then he tells him like, "I need you. You're my eyes and ears." What the fuck is he talking about?
I have no idea, but so that's something we have to determine from this. What do we? I mean, we'll talk about this later, but Jamie Foxx, like, I would say that I think the writing and the like way the movie was directed harmed his character, but I didn't necessarily dislike him.
No, Jamie Foxx did fine with what he was given.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like this line, like "I need you," like "I need you people," like things like that. That's the kind of thing you would expect like Captain America or Superman or even Homelander to say, like that generic type of like, "Yeah, I need citizens," that sort of thing. That's not Spider-Man. He doesn't talk like that. Also, what is he talking about? He doesn't rely on civilians to like report crime to him.
And he doesn't like need to tell. You know what the weird thing about that line is? It makes it seem like he already knows Jamie Foxx is mentally unstable and he's like trying to calm him down, but it's like he's just some random dude you met on the street. Like you can just say, "Excuse me, sir."
And then the idea that he like says his name back to him, and now like a flip has been switched, or switch has been flipped.
And he's like obsessed.
Yeah, and then later, like, he meets Gwen, and whatever, Gwen's talking to him. She would never talk to him in real life. But she talks to him, like, "Hey, Max, okay, see you later, Max." And he's like, "You remembered my name?" It's like, yeah, you just said it. You just told her your name.
Yeah. And, oh, God.
Anyway, what is this? So the graduation, okay? What is the Stan Lee cameo?
I have no fucking clue.
Like, doesn't he say, "I think I know that guy"?
Yeah.
Yes.
You think you know a 17-year-old? You're an old man, and like someone says a name, and you at the graduation you turn to the person next to you and you're like, "I think I know that guy." Like, what? You know someone's child? What are you
maybe
saying?
you saw him with the mask on. Like when he was like walking around for like half a second.
Oh, is that what it was? Like, whatever. That was stupid. I hate that. Then he like kisses Gwen. Like, who the fuck is this? This is not Peter Parker at all.
Yeah, he's like hipster again. Like hip, like I don't even know what the fuck he is.
And like when he's talking to Aunt May at the graduation, like it becomes very clear that this is like a 30-year-old man.
Yeah.
And I would even say like the movie seems obsessed with fast forwarding. Why does he even have to have the graduation scene? Why don't you just like fast forward through time like a year and a half or something and have him be in college, like full-blown college? That seems to be what they want. You never see him go to school. You never see him like have his last summer. It's none of that. The movie just skips all that entirely.
Yeah,
so
you don't see him. You don't see him at the Bugle either, but they imply that he works there.
He
too.
does a lot of shit. One of the worst things about this movie that really like I couldn't believe it. Aunt May is working like her fingers to the bone to pay for his college. And he's just like
whatever.
She has to wake him up for his final. What a fucking douche.
Yeah, like, I'm telling you, he's a douchebag in these movies.
He's an able-bodied person who's like he doesn't have a job. He's basically sending photos that takes like no effort for him to make. He sends those photos to the Bugle, makes I don't know, no money. Why don't you go work at Starbucks or something? And then it's like Aunt May is slaving away at night trying to become a nurse at like 60 years old. That's hard. That's awful.
Yeah.
And like also did that like subplot of her being like the nurse that didn't really go anywhere, did it?
it just wanted her to like be on the ground floor of the action in the third act because she's in the hospital. So all right, what happens after the graduation? He rejects her, right?
They break up for him to do more Spider-Man stuff, and then
which is strange because they could have just done that in the first movie and had it start like that.
I know,
but whatever.
And then he says, "I can't live with myself." It's like, dude, you've been living with yourself a long time, dating her.
Yeah, he just like keeps seeing like random flashes of him.
Oh, that was terrible. First of all, he has a parental male figure. His name is Uncle Ben.
Yeah, he doesn't need Gwen Stacy's dad.
What is it? Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, why do you want to make Captain Stacy be like a ghost that haunts him? Why did you even kill Captain Stacy? Can you imagine if he was alive and Gwen died?
Oh, man, yeah.
You could have actual drama. Instead, he's like a fucking ghost that just sits around. What the hell is that?
I'm telling you, they were planning on bringing him back in the next movie, along with Gwen.
And then in the third act, like, you see him again. And at a point that has nothing to do with him. Like, there's nothing to do with, like, his feelings over dating Gwen. He's in the middle of fighting Electro, and he sees Captain Stacy. Like, what? Why? You clearly don't understand what is going on.
Maybe he hasn't gotten over his issues.
I didn't mind when he saved that little kid from the bullies.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't horrible. It's just like there's so many points in this movie where it does something that's like, okay, that wasn't bad. Like, all right. And then it just goes into something ridiculous.
And that kid comes back at the end, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, Homecoming tries to do that same thing. And I would argue that the shit he does in Homecoming is like not even as effective as when he saves this kid.
Well, something I've realized, and it'll be interesting when we go back and watch Tom Holland, his movies are completely different than this and Tobey Maguire. Like, he
they have
is...
to
be. Well, I know they have to be, but, like, he is not either of these Spider-Men. He's, like... I don't even know. I don't know. We'll probably talk about this more when we do.
He's the Spider Boy. That's what he is.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even mind when he sort of gets caught by May. Like, I don't mind those types of hijinks in the film. This is the kind of thing... This is kind of why I gave it a win, is like... I was enjoying myself during these sequences, even though Andrew Garfield's kind of an unlikable douche. And Sally Field is kind of like a moron. You know, I don't mind it though. I don't know. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, like, and then the Bugle. He's working for the... Why are you name dropping J. Jonah Jameson and you just don't want to show him at all? Why? Why even do that?
They don't want to try to compete with the last one.
Yeah, so like, why even do it? Like, remember how Peter had the pizza job? Like, can't you give him something like that he has to like balance on top of everything else? And it could still be funny. Then we see BJ Novak. He's Ryan from The Office.
Yeah, he's Smythe.
Yeah, he's playing Alistair Smythe, who I remember
That's a
from
cool
the cartoon.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't he have those like spider drones?
And
yeah,
everything
he's in
he
like
does,
the wheelchair.
There was a rumor, remember, I think we reported that Alistair Smythe is going to be in the third one. He's not even bad casting, to be honest. But, because he has that, like, smugness. But everything he does is like so stupid. And like
his character?
Yeah.
I mean, like the 2 times he's on screen.
Also, so I don't really know this character, but later on when Electro gets caught, they have that German person.
Yeah.
The doctor?
Yeah. I don't remember what their name was, but that's someone from the comics that they gender swapped. And whatever, I don't even care about that. I'm just saying, like, you have Alistair Smythe in the movie. Why is there another nameless, like,
bad
evil
guy
person? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't that be Alistair Smythe? Like, he clearly has a tension relationship with...
I mean, they have a number of
tense.
people in this movie that are, like, famous that they don't utilize correctly.
It's not even that they're famous. It's like, why don't you use Alistair Smythe? Why would you put him in there? It's just like the Bugle. Like, why is it in there if you don't want to use it? Alistair Smythe is cool. Anyway, so then Max and Gwen in the elevator, which is like more stupid. I like the one part of Max where someone's was it Alistair that said something to him, and then it shows you him. He like flips on him.
Yeah, it's like
and then it shows that it's not real.
I didn't mind that. I thought that was a good way of establishing his sort of like mental illness.
Did you actually listen to what he said? Because it's like fangirl territory. What he said, he's like, "You're not Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a Sagittarius, and you're a Virgo," or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't mind. I don't mind that he's crazy. I mean, you expect there to be like this type of stuff in comic book movies. Like with the Joker, the way they did the multiple choice thing in Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that with everybody. That was a genius way to do it. But most of the time they fall in a vat of some stupid thing and then they come out like themed as whatever they fell into. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of expect that. But him being, I don't mind the craziness. I'm just like, as I'm watching it, I'm thinking I've seen this before so many times, like especially in the Batman franchise. So I just didn't like that part. Then you see Harry, and they like the guy, the handler tells him like, be careful, it's dark in there. And the door opens and the room's really dark. But then you go in and it's like
totally normal.
Blue lights everywhere, like bright blue lights.
I was expecting it to be like scary, like it was gonna be like pitch black, and he's like walking around and like he bumps into his dad.
Like
but instead,
Goblin
it's like
comes out of the shadows.
Yeah, it's totally normal. Everything's totally fine. Like
one line I did like was when Chris Cooper is like, "Your childhood needed to be sacrificed so that I could find this cure." I like that. I like that dynamic. Like, I like that his dad wasn't really there, but at the same time, his dad was doing like the ultimate thing for him, and his dad
trying
also
to keep him
failed.
alive.
Yeah, and like he's dying, and it's like you can't really be mad at this guy. I like that.
Plus, he sent him scotch on his 16th birthday. It sounds like a pretty cool dad to me.
And then you see his dad has essentially flippers on his hands.
Yeah, he's become something questionable.
He had like those bag lady fingernails.
You kind of like stop feeling, but like it becomes stupid.
Yeah,
they had me for a second, and then I'm like, what is this?
yeah, because it's like he is the Goblin, and also like, here's what I don't quite understand, right? Remember at the end of the first one when they're like, "We're gonna rush this. We don't have time to be safe." Like, Mr. Osborn is dying.
Right.
Okay? And then we discover they have this venom from the spiders, and they never tried it on him.
Yeah, you know what?
And
really
their
makes
excuse
sense?
is, well, we didn't have enough time to run tests. It's like, yeah, but you said you don't care.
What was Connor's? What was his serum? Was it the same thing?
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. I thought in the first movie that Richard Parker and Kurt Connors were partners working on the animal genetics. With his dad was working on the spiders and Kurt Connors was working on the lizard regeneration, like two strands of how to heal Norman Osborn. But in this movie, it just seems like they changed the dynamic to it was Norman Osborn and Richard Parker working together, and then he like makes a deal with like Saudi Arabia or something to like make biochemical weapons with the spider DNA.
Whoa, they never mentioned Saudi Arabia, Everett.
I don't know.
It's pretty
like,
fucking racist.
You said like a foreign military power. I completely forget.
Why wouldn't you say North Korea?
Fine, okay, maybe North Korea.
Yeah, but you
like,
didn't say North Korea. You said Saudi Arabia.
You
But
went
that
right
was the
for
whole
Middle
thing.
East.
Like he said he was going to make biological weapons, and then he stopped, and that's what got him assassinated. Why did they change the dynamic like that? Because like you never even saw Norman Osborn.
I don't think this
in the
Venom
first movie.
thing makes sense. I don't. It doesn't make it. I don't understand. Peter Parker or Richard Parker's blood in the spiders. Do spiders have self-healing properties?
According to the movie, they do. In real life, I don't know.
I think in the comics, Spider-Man specifically has a self-healing power, but it's not like Wolverine level. It's like if you break an arm, it'll heal in like a week, maybe.
Yeah, but then wasn't the point of the lizard that he regenerates, and like wasn't that what they were kind of trying to do?
That was their idea. He literally can get like limbs chopped off and be like, "I'm back."
It's
within
all
like
self-healing stuff is what they talk about.
And then also there's the suit, like Emerson said. Like, why wasn't the dad wearing the suit?
Yeah, better than dying.
If it's like he's in a constant state of healing, but like yeah.
And the other thing is like, if the dad already looked like that, why does he care if he turns into a lizard? Like the dude looks like a goblin, bro. Like he doesn't. He's like, man, I'm fine looking like this, but looking like a lizard, that's where I draw the line.
You know what kind of annoys me? The fact that as soon as Harry Osborn shows up, he seems completely fine, but then the minute he talks to his dad, he immediately starts going through the generation of goblinism. Like you see like the scabs on his neck and he's shaking. It's going really fast. It just comes out of
the
nowhere.
timing of it doesn't make sense. Like, so his dad has been struggling with this, but like for years, you assume decades, at least Peter Parker's whole life, right? Because you see the video.
Yeah.
So then it's like Dane DeHaan is he's suddenly showing a lot of symptoms quite early, and they're strong symptoms. I don't know. This newscaster that they show, this is the same newscaster. Is he like a local New York person? Because he's in all the MCU movies too.
Really?
I have no idea.
That guy, now that I've said it, you'll probably recognize him. Okay, so this is where the movie does more of the terrible A to B bullshit thing again, like that type of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
In order for Max to end up at B, which is in the vat of electric eels, he needs to do some type of dangerous electrical work. And in order for him to be doing dangerous electrical work, he needs the other people to inexplicably like ignore all safety regulations.
Yeah.
And in order for him to be there with the people that don't care that he's there, he needs to be sent there, because otherwise why would you be there? So he needs to be sent there by someone for reasons that essentially don't matter, other than, well, the movie says, because you're special. That's what Smythe says to Max. You have to go up there and do this thing right now as we're all going to like a Friday party. Right? They were like kind of all going
They got the day off because the guy died.
Oh.
Because Osborn was dead. Everyone got the day off. And then he calls on the radio and he's like, yo, can you turn the power off? I'm like doing repairs. And the guy's like, nah.
Yeah,
Not
well, no,
before,
first he says, but it's my birthday. Like, are we supposed to care that it's his birthday and he has to be sent to do work? Because to me, as I'm watching
everyone
this, like,
works on their birthday.
But I'm going to be honest, like, his birthday was always going to suck. Like, he's lucky that he has a job where he can be around people. Otherwise, he's going to go home and do what? Watch a lot of porn, I'm guessing. A lot of spider porn.
He's going to go talk to his wall again.
Yeah, like, he's not doing anything on his birthday. So then he's like, but it's my birthday. Like, there's nothing there. You've already established the guy's a complete loner.
Instead, you can say everyone else has the day off. No, like...
Yeah, even that. And it's like, why would you do that specifically to him unless you were, like, trying to kill him? Is that, like, do that plot and have him try to kill him. It doesn't even make sense, but it's better than because you're special. Yeah, and
Maybe
then he goes up.
Bring that one up to HR.
Yeah, and then he goes up and he's like, hey, can we do like some mild safety precautions here? The guy's like, nah, dog, I'm out of here. And he just fucking leaves. Like, and Max is like, okay, I guess I'll plug in the things, even though I know that they're hot.
Live wires.
Yeah, I know that they're hot. I just got verbal confirmation that I should not touch these. And also, like, is he an engineer or like a maintenance like person?
I think he's an electrical engineer, because didn't they also say he came up with the schematics for the grid?
Yeah, he's like more scientist, less repairman. So why him of all people? Anyway, so he goes up there not wearing any protective anything, and the movie wants us to think for a second that he's fine. Of course, there's like no way that he's not going to get electrocuted.
Yeah.
So he gets electrocuted, then he falls into the vat, and the eels are like, kind of like, hey, look who's in the wrong neighborhood.
They give us face shots of the eel, and at one point it looks like the eel's like thinking like, do I bite him? Yeah, and he like, I was like, what the fuck is this?
The eels have like a personality. I don't understand. And then everything just dies. Like they all just like. The thing explodes and all the eels fucking die.
Also, yeah, as terms of getting powers go, that is without a doubt the sketchiest. He gets electrocuted and then falls into a vat with electric eels that bite him.
But can we assume that they're like modified in some way?
So he like gets the power the same way like the spider gave Peter?
I think.
Also,
okay,
he should be more
it fixes
of an eel
the gap in his teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, he should be.
Fixes the gap in his
Shouldn't
teeth.
he be
Did you
the
notice
old man?
that?
I didn't catch that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, his teeth move together as he's getting electrocuted.
Also, is he wearing like CGI dots or is he wearing a mask? Because his cranium is large. I don't remember Jamie Foxx having like a giant head.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
kind of
know.
changes his facial
He
structure.
has a
I think he
giant
was
head,
wearing
right?
a suit.
So can I confess something? I bought the
Okay.
Electro figure as I was watching this movie.
Oh
Really?
my god.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not that bad. One of the things I was going to say about Electro, like, if you think about it, Electro's a cool villain in terms of, like, what he can do and what you can see. Because, like, I liked
Yeah.
in this movie seeing him, like, going through things, shocking people, regenerating himself in Dr. Manhattan style.
He definitely
Like-
has an interesting power set.
So here's
But,
my rationale for why I bought it. Apparently he's coming back. So there's one. Now, MCU has a tendency to like over-design their characters, so it's very likely that this version of Electro will be the better version. Or at least like in terms of appearance. The other thing is he's super cheap. No one wants him. So I got him like $80 under retail.
Is it like him in his like suit that he has at the end of the movie?
Yeah, it's his conveniently like black bodysuit that so they don't have to animate his whole body, just his head. So I mean, I don't have any spider villains right now because like none of them have been made for the MCU. They didn't make Vulture. They haven't released Mysterio yet. So I'm like, all right, I got this Jamie Foxx. Who knows? Maybe it'll be worth something later, and I get to have like a villain in my I don't know. So anyway, that's why I bought it. I didn't know, as I was watching it, like I realized, or I should say at the end of the movie, I realized there's like no resolution to his character at
Yeah.
all. Like they set up this thing like he's a loner, that sort of thing, and it kind of sets up like I'm so powerful now that I'm gonna make everyone pay, and like you would expect his hubris to be the reason, like he overcharges himself or something like that.
That is sort of what happens. They use his power against him.
Well, yeah, they kill him though.
They don't kill him. I think they were going to bring him back for the next movie.
Yeah, but
Okay.
but for the movie's practical purpose, he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
What's the
explodes,
character
okay.
arc? He's a loner. He gets powerful. They murder him.
Yeah.
There's no arc. There's no arc at all.
It's called the Arc of Vengeance.
And the entire time he's Electro. By the way, when did they give him that name?
He gave himself that name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
remember when they're interviewing him and he's like, I'm Electro.
Yeah, it's like you're what? What? Anyway, like I don't know. The problem is like the whole time he's Electro, he's basically one note like I want to use my power, and then he gets released, and then he's like I'm gonna use my power, and then he like kind of does a little bit, and then they kill him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's also like he's denied some of that extra arc by the fact that they brought Green Goblin in the last 30 minutes because they need to move him out of the way.
So, two things. One, when after the fight with Electro, when Goblin shows up, I was kind of into the movie. Like I was okay with like here's the second threat, and like Peter just had a rough time. He's about to have an even like rougher time. Like I was up for some drama, and I think the movie did deliver with the Goblin. But the other thing is, what does the MCU see in Jamie Foxx's Electro that they would bring him back?
Well, I guess another question. So let's start with this. I think we can all agree, like Electro as the villain. I think that's not a bad idea to have the next villain be Electro. It's one we haven't seen in the MCU. It's one that hasn't been hypersaturated, and it's one that has some cool. You could do a lot of cool stuff with that. So I guess maybe Jamie Foxx. They just think like, because at some of the points when he had like the power itself, it was interesting. But I don't know. I guess anyone could really be him.
I don't understand. They're obviously going to combine a universe.
Mm-hmm.
And so to like what extent is Peter going to get like trapped in a different universe and like have a 2-second fight with like some other villain that's there and that happens to be Electro, and then he like gets pulled back into his normal or like a different universe, Is that what it is? Because if that's what it is, I'm okay with it. But like, are they gonna open up the portals and suddenly Electro and Venom and like all these people are in the same universe?
And they're there forever? Because that
Yeah.
could be pretty fucking weird.
It could also
I don't
be
know if
really
that would
cool.
work.
I don't know. It's so
Well,
bizarre.
it depends how they do it. That could be horrible, or it could be really sick. But as it stands right now, I don't know.
You know what I kind of want to see? I think we might have discussed it before. I really want to see Emma Stone come back as like the Spider Gwen, just so Peter Parker, just so Andrew Garfield can see her and flip out.
Dude, she's older now. Is she my age or older?
Let's find
I have
out.
no idea.
Emma Stone.
Honestly, you know who I thought was kind of interesting in this movie that I'm disappointed didn't
She's
get a bigger
32.
arc?
Okay, so she's a little older than me. I don't know. I don't
She
know.
got married this year?
To who?
Was it to Andrew Garfield?
No,
No.
to Dave McCary.
Ooh.
Yikes. Okay.
But do you think he kind of looks like Andrew Garfield? Guess she has a type. Tall guys with long faces.
Okay, just to give you a sense of his accomplishments, he's a comedian, writer, and director. He served as the segment director for Saturday Night Live from 2013 to 2019, and this is like his tagline on Wikipedia, so this is the best stuff he's done. During college, he formed a sketch comedy group, Good Neighbor.
All right.
Okay. That must be a real connection.
Anyway, she could do Spider-Gwen. I like her. She's the best part of this movie again.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't want to see her and Andrew Garfield though.
Yeah, but do you want to see her and Tom Holland? The age difference there is too much to cover up.
Is Spider-Gwen? Is she a love interest?
I have no
No.
idea.
No, she's
That's what
not.
they use her in Into the Spider-Verse.
No,
Kinda,
no, they
yeah.
weren't a lot. But that was from Miles Morales. They weren't like.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I...
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying like it can't happen with Peter Parker.
Oh, okay, it can't. It can't, Everett. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
I mean, this Peter Parker, like Tom Holland's still in high school, so that's a
Okay,
no-no.
you know, whoa,
How old
Everett,
was
are you...
Melania when Donald Trump met her?
Oh God. I was gonna bring this up a minute ago. With the whole characters that didn't really get as much screen time as I wanted. Felicity Jones as Felicia Hardy.
Yeah. Look, she didn't do anything that wasn't just complete exposition. I also don't even see how that character could be Black Cat. Like, she doesn't have any of the
Wait,
charm.
there was a black cat in this movie?
You know that assistant he had at Oscorp?
I
Yeah,
don't
like-
know if
What?
there was a version.
That's Black Cat.
You know what? I meant to look up. Fuck, I forgot to do this because we did it earlier.
She's meant to be Black Cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant
she's
to.
not Black
I
Cat.
meant to look up. A large part of this was you could learn a lot about the development of this from the Sony leaked emails, and it tells you a lot. And I meant to go back and read them, and I forgot. Yeah, so like check those out. But like I know that they had plans to do a shit ton of movies like as spin-offs, and she was one of them. And obviously there was like all those extra villains that they were kind of referencing at the end. There was going to be a Spider-Man 3. I don't know what they were going to do because without Emma Stone, you literally don't have a movie.
I'm telling you, they were gonna bring her back along with her father.
I have a pitch for the third movie.
Okay, go for it.
Captain Stacy is alive in my version. Gwen dies. He knows it's Peter. He sends all the cops after Peter. Harry knows it's Peter. He sends all the villains after Peter. And we get that Spider-Man 3 that I kind of was hoping that this one would become the new one, where he's basically on the run. Aunt May finds out. His world comes crashing down. Do that. That's a badass story. Have him fight villains like the longest night of his life. I would love
I
to
can
see
get
that.
behind that.
And I would be fine with Andrew Garfield too, because you kind of set it up for two movies, that who he is and all that. Even if he's a douche, like you wouldn't mind seeing him in the worst day of his life. Anyway, so then we get the scene where Harry and Peter meet, And this kind of replaces like the brutal flirting scenes from the last movie. The banter here is awful.
Oh, it's fucking
Yeah.
horrible.
Just to
Well, they're
point it
trying
out.
to build.
Yeah.
They're just real quick. They're trying to build like, oh, see, these guys know each other. They vibe when they have nothing.
Ironically enough, like I don't really like Dane DeHaan in this movie, but it made me want to go back and watch Chronicle.
He was also in
Just
that
'cause I like
Western
Chronicle.
movie with.
I like Chronicle. Yeah, I want to watch.
He was in the Western movie with Tom Hardy and Shia LaBeouf. I think it was called Lawless. He was like in that. He had a smaller
Wasn't-
role.
Wasn't he in the Valerian and the
Yeah, he
Thousand?
was.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
tanked.
Yeah. So, just to point out how stupid this banter is, one of the lines, Peter says to him, "Do you still spend like 30 minutes on your hair or something like that?" Kind of making fun of his vanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Harry responds with, "Well, my servant holds the blow dryer while I do the comb, so I'm not completely helpless."
And he's like laughing like it's funny.
Yeah, but it's like he's not even referencing what Harry or what Peter said. Peter made a joke about his vanity, and Harry's talking about how he's like spoiled and rich. Like it's like they're not even. It's like two different people wrote the scene, and they just like said the words, and it doesn't matter if it matches at all. The whole scene is just fucking awful. Like, how does this make it into a major motion picture? Anyway, especially with all the studio oversight, you telling me there's not a single person there that's like, this doesn't make any sense. So then they have like the scene where I guess he meets her at night, right before the Electro fight, and I thought that was one of their better scenes, Peter and Gwen. And I would honestly watch more of that. Are you guys still there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Separately, they're both really great actors. I think the main issue was the dialogue that they were given, or the fact that there was no dialogue.
But not always in this scene. Like some of this works. The first movie was atrocious, but this works. This is the chemistry that they were referring to in like the reviews that we were all like, what the hell were they talking about?
You're talking about like their date before he goes to deal with Electro.
Yeah.
That's like the one scene I was referring to where they did the weird improv.
Yeah,
They
but it was fine. It was fine. Like they did the whole ground rules thing. I mean, it's kind of like meet cute. They're trying. People eat that shit up.
Well, also, I was just gonna say like that part. At least like I was like okay, and I like that scene because Peter starts looking at Times Square, like downtown. He starts looking and noticing and I like that sense of like he realizes something's wrong before it happens.
Oh, I did not like that.
Why?
Okay, his spider sense is not a villain radar. It's like
Immediate danger.
Yeah, immediate. Like he doesn't go, "Oh, there's villainy afoot," and then he turns
Well,
to
I
Times
didn't
Square.
read it as villainy afoot. I read it as he's like something's wrong because there were a bunch of people looking around in the square. Remember? And I
don't-
the way
I thought it was the spider sense.
the way I read it as being is that Electro was giving off literal like electric like energy, and people were like, "What the fuck's going?" Because there were all these scenes of people like looking around in the square all of a sudden before he does anything.
And
I was like-
maybe you're giving the movie a little too much credit. I don't know. You might be right, but I think
That's what I think they were trying to go for.
All right, so he does this Electro Battle. I didn't mind this. I thought that this was a good action sequence. I did have one problem with it. Well, did you guys like the sequence?
I liked it until the end of it,
Yeah.
When
okay,
he
so-
hoses him down.
with a fireman's hat on, which
Yeah,
implies
that
that
was
he
questionable.
ignored civilians, got the fireman's hat, and said
people
that.
love that shit with Spider-Man. Whenever he like wears things, people love it. I'm not kidding. Like when the figure came out, it came with. You remember when he's sick and he's like in the
He's
store
got like that hoodie on.
and he wears the scarf and the hoodie? Yeah, like people ate that shit up. That the figure came with that. The only thing about the fire hose is like, okay, first of all, based on what Pokemon has taught me, doesn't electricity like conduct through water?
Yeah, it actually is better in water, but
You want dirt, right?
yes, dirt or sand. Sand is especially helpful.
Yeah. So a fire hose, I mean, maybe the pressure of it would knock him down. I get that. It seems like he would be able to ride the water, like the
Well,
currents.
I don't
He
think
would
they
just-
understood that. They kept
would
him in water at Ravencroft.
Yeah, and like what I think they were trying to go for, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit again, is if he's generating the electricity, the water would conduct it away from him like drain him basically. But the problem is it would shock everything. And if he has enough electricity like he's shown to have, when Spider-Man blasts him with that hose, what's going to happen is the electricity is going to travel down the water. It's going to travel through it. And it's going to shock the fuck out of everything.
You know what would be really funny? If they did that and that happened, like he like electrocuted himself through the water and like zapped all the firefighters, but then he got stuck inside the fire engine's water tank.
We've trapped him, boys.
Like they suck him up like a Ghostbusters scene.
Well, the thing is, like, okay, so they did the fire hose thing. Is that better than just shooting him? Wouldn't bullets work?
They tried shooting him and they got incinerated. Remember that?
Yeah.
Does that mean that the bullets don't hurt him?
I think it's
they
that
don't get to touch him.
They don't touch him at all. Like they get
bullets,
like destroyed or shrapnelized before they even hit him.
But okay,
they they were atomized in that slow, which doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense, by the way. But the way the movie shows it is they shoot him and the bullets atomize before touching him. There's a slow-mo scene where it shows that.
Okay.
I mean, like,
but
how do they do it, like, in the PS4 game? Like, isn't Electro supposed to be, like, pure energy? What would bullets do to that? Like, he can reform himself at will. It's not like they'd work really anyway.
I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, he's, like, actively destroying the bullets, isn't he? Or does it happen automatically?
I have no idea. Then the sniper bullet seems to, like, do something to him.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, wouldn't a hail of bullets essentially do the job?
Yeah, I guess that kind of begs the question. When the cops shoot at him and he, like, puts his hands up, I think it's unintentional, but he puts that shield up, sort of like when he catches that saw back at the hospital, or, like, he blocks the car. It's like, it's unintentional, but it's not unintentional. Then when they catch him off guard with the sniper shot, then it hits him and hurts him.
So
or
anyway,
annoys him at the very least.
We have this freeze frame shot where Peter apparently moves faster than electricity.
Yeah, that was questionable.
I liked how they did it. I liked how it was like, I thought it was like trying to tell me like this is how his spider sense works. I thought that's what it was, where the camera's like moving around through all the people. I'm like, that's kind of a hard thing to film. And then it turns out they're trying to show us that he's gonna beat the electricity to the punch, which then he does, and I was like, that's a little. He could have just stopped the car from hitting them. You didn't really need him like saving the people from touching the. How could he get there in time?
He couldn't.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, I don't like that scene, or I don't like that part. And then I realized why they did that. They're trying to tell you that when he goes into like his slow motion hero mode, that he can win. Do you get what I'm saying?
For
Not
later
really.
on.
Yeah. So later, you think
I
that
see.
he's gonna save Gwen, and he doesn't.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. It kind of works.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
All right. So they capture Electro, and then Dane or whatever Harry realizes that he needs the Peter blood or the Spider-Man blood, right?
The Peter blood. I like that.
So here's my thing with like whether or not he should give him the blood. I feel like, well, okay, the movie says no, you could die, which is fucking stupid because he's
gonna
dying.
die anyway.
Even Harry
Yeah.
says it. He's like, I'm fucking dying right now. And like Peter's like, no, it's not safe. Like, what? But the real reason, which the movie never says, is if you give him your blood, he could know who you are, number one. And if you give him your blood, people might use that blood to make other Spider-Man or like weaponize, like.
Yeah. He
The
might
movie-
become like he might become like you, which you don't want people doing that.
He doesn't want the competition.
So I'm absolutely cool with, don't give him the blood. I understand that dilemma and that tension and the drama. I get it. The reasons provided are fucking stupid.
Questionable at best.
Yeah. That was terrible. And then that scene where he like, when he's with Harry in the apartment and he's like, okay, gotta go. And he just fucking flips out the window. Like, that's how you exit that conversation.
Yeah, he's
goes
like,
through
I'm
all
dying.
that,
Like, I'm gonna die. You won't give it to me? And he's like, I'm out.
Yeah, he's like,
He-
watch this flip.
he double rejects him. He tells him he doesn't know Spider-Man. First of all, like, before I bring this up, why does everybody think that just because Peter Parker takes pictures of Spider-Man that he knows him? Like, why?
Well, he does seem to
Well,
get, like, great pictures,
yeah.
and he has, like, all the pictures.
No, that's a clear connection. Like, he clearly knows Spider-Man.
Okay, secondary. He not only tells him that he doesn't know who Spider-Man is as Peter, but he goes through all the effort to dress up in the suit, show up to his house, and tell him no, and then leave, instead of just saying, like, no. Like,
I mean, that to me makes some sense, though, because then it looks like Peter tried to get Spider-Man to do it, and then Spider-Man said no, which, like, that makes sense if Peter's trying to save his friendship with Harry.
See,
But-
I would prefer if Peter came back and is like, I talked to him and he said no. And then Harry could be like, what? And he tries to explain. He's like, I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. And then Harry's like, I gotta capture Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And either way, it kind of works. So anyway, Harry. Then we have that scene where we find out that May, like, she starts crying because he has, like, he's trying to find his parents.
Yeah, and like, that whole scene was fucking weird.
I've never taken in and raised someone else's child, but, like, her reaction was kind of over the top.
Yeah.
For
It's
him.
like...
He clearly wants to know what happened to his parents. Like, it's weird what happened to them.
Yeah, and the fact that she's, like, offended by it, like, she can't take
Yeah.
it.
And then she...
I mean, I could sort of see it. Like, if you spend 16 years of your life raising someone as your child, and then immediately they're obsessed with, hey, who's my real father? Who's my real mother? Like, I want to know more about that.
But
Like, I'm not...
that makes sense.
That always happens. But you can't, like... I mean, I understand, like, feeling a little insecure about it, but the way she fucking lays on the guilt and starts bawling, like, oh, you don't love me anymore? Like, that's not even what he said. And then she talks about how she pays for his college, and I was like, what the fuck? Take a
Yeah,
loan,
she's
you
guilt-tripping
douchebag. Like, Jesus Christ. How could he make her do that? And he never goes to class. So then Harry gets, like, the stockholder guy he wants. He's happy now that Norman is dead. They're going to frame Harry and cut him out. And then Harry's like, okay, you don't need to use security. I'll just leave. And
The guy's like, all right.
yeah, what the fuck? Which I thought was stupid. But then they have the next scene where Harry, like, tasers. He
takes down two armed guards.
He takes down two people with their taser. Like, what the fuck? What is that? And it's like, is it just so that he can get to Electro? Is that the plan?
That's the movie deciding, yeah. That's the movie being like, all right, how's he going to, like, move to where we need him to be?
Yeah, I mean, you could see it, so I almost, like, didn't hate it that much because I'm like, they clearly just want to get to the part where, like, the villains become villains and we're going to have a fight. And I'm like, you know what, at this point, I don't really want to see any more of Harry anyway. So, like, let's just get to the part where he goes crazy. And
that's
then
the new retcon for the movie. Instead of tasing the guards, he tases one of them, then the other one shoots him. And while he's in critical condition, because he's an Osborn, they take him to special research and they stick him in that suit and turn him into the Goblin.
that still doesn't make sense. Why would you try to save him after you shot him?
Yeah. Whatever, just alternate paths.
Um,
It's still stupid.
So then we see Peter discovers, like, subway tokens in a calculator and sort of looks up that Roosevelt had a secret subway. And then he goes there and it's a fucking...
Yeah, it's, like, underground inside, like, it, like, comes out of the ground.
Why was he doing that, like, in such a secret place? Why couldn't he do that at Oscorp?
I mean, I guess it makes sense why he couldn't do it at Oscorp, because they were, like, trying to take his research.
Well, yeah, it makes sense that he has a secret place that he's putting the research. I just don't understand why he built, like, a hidden train
No.
for it.
You guys think Richard Parker built that?
Also,
That's
you know,
what it's. There's no way that would that the okay, not the train station, but the train coming out from beneath the ground.
You think Richard Parker built that?
That's
No.
not normal. Who else built it?
Oscorp. How could Richard Parker do that?
You know what I'm kind
Well,
of
if Oscorp built it, then they know where it is.
I think yeah, that's why it doesn't make any sense. Okay, hold on. You're telling me Richard Parker
No,
built
I
that subway?
think it doesn't make sense for him to build it, but I think that's what the movie was trying to say. I think I was going to say, like, the fact that that's there, like, that's stupid. I thought the movie was trying to say that he built that, and that's his secret spot. Because if he didn't build it, then everyone knows where it is. It's not secret.
I know.
You know what?
I feel like it could be like a kind of a well-kept secret among Oscorp people, but it just doesn't make any sense. Like, how the fuck could he have built that himself? You have to have like a giant crew. What happened to all those people? Did Richard Parker kill them all?
He had a
Seriously.
shadow of the past.
I guess. Dude, the movie doesn't know what the fuck to do
Like,
with him.
did he
Every
have the
time he gets
ribbon
involved.
cutting and they're like, "Hey, there's no crowd here," and he's like, "Yeah," and then he just takes a silence pistol and shoots it into like 40 people's heads. Is that what happened?
It's like that scene from Suicide Squad where Amanda Waller just guns down an entire room of interns. It's like that.
I have to believe that Oscorp built it. And then it's like, well, why is it untouched for almost 20 years?
Who knows? I had two thoughts
just
going through my
awful.
head when I watched that scene. The first one was they make it clear at the beginning of the movie that he kills all the spiders, right? They have the venom, but he kills the spiders.
Yeah, but
Why
are
do
these
they
the same
have like
spiders
1,000
that-
of them in the last movie?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they have spiders. Did they kill them after... Are they talking about they killed them all after Peter? Didn't they say something about, like, consoling the board?
Well, they said they killed all the spiders after Dr. Connors went nuts. So
Okay.
they killed
Yeah,
all
okay.
the
Like, all
hybrid
his bio
animals.
research is
So it wasn't
destroyed.
when Richard Parker disappeared.
No, he killed like some of them. And then
God, it's so convoluted.
And then my secondary thing was, if he uses subway tokens to get into his lab, what happens when he runs out? Does
I
he just
don't know.
buy more on eBay?
I don't know. And I'll tell you what else. Like, the worst part of this is from a character standpoint, it really adds nothing to Peter. He's like, oh, my dad worked for Oscorp. And
Which
he
I thought we already knew that in
we
the
knew
first
that.
place.
And he created radioactive spiders, which we also know. And so they've been destroyed, which you pretty much can assume at this point. And him being Spider-Man and like that whole thing with like the responsibility of being a hero, like it says nothing about any of that. It doesn't do anything for the character. It doesn't even it doesn't even make Peter go like, I gotta fight the villain. Like there's none of that. There's nothing to it. Other than, oh, well now I know.
yeah, it's really quite stupid.
So Harry gets the Goblin suit. One of the pilots, okay, I didn't understand this. Apparently, like I understood it at the end, but apparently that whole sequence with the planes was something like they were going to crash. I did not understand that they were going to hit each other until
Yeah,
they
I don't know
missed
why
each
they
other.
added that. At first I was like,
wanted
oh, they're
extra
showing the
tension.
chaos.
I'm
They're
gonna
showing the
tell you
chaos.
exactly why.
Okay.
Peter is fighting Electro, and then he murders him. And there's really nothing else to that scene. You have to add, like, Peter saving something to make it sort of work, to kind of distract you from the fact that it's just basically Peter fucking up Max. But
Yeah.
aside from that, it doesn't work because, like, there's no connection. Peter doesn't even know that the planes...
Yeah, I know.
Like, we're almost... I didn't even know. I was
Also-
like, oh, were they... This is
also,
what
like-
they've been building to?
ATC have like handheld radio sets they can use in emergencies when planes come within a certain distance of the tower. They also have like backup local generators. Like it's not like, oh, the main power plant went down, we're screwed.
Also, one of the pilots was Jim's brother in The Office.
Really?
I'm
I
pretty
didn't
sure.
I didn't notice it all.
Also, weren't those like 747s? Like, weren't they really big ass airplanes? How the hell did they turn that fast?
No, it's just...
Dumb.
It's the whole
Movie.
thing's stupid.
Movies need help.
So he deals with Max. I gotta say, like, fuck Gwen Stacy at this point.
She refuses to leave.
I like the part where she's like, I'm coming with you. It's like, okay, I get that you would be like weirdly irrational about this, but he then he webs her hand, and I like
to
that
the
part.
car.
I like it when she says like Peter, and then covers her mouth. I like that. Why after beating Electro does she fucking stay? Like, you gotta understand, at the end of the day, you're not superpowered.
Yeah, you're just gonna get in the way at best.
Stop being a fucking burden. You see the Goblin, Peter. I mean, Electro was kind of beating the shit out of Peter. Like, I kind of liked it. What did you guys think about the itsy bitsy spider part?
It was a little weird.
Mediocre.
I didn't mind. I was like, whatever. You know what? That's the coolest version of that song I ever heard. So, whatever. Anyway, so.
But he was like stopping. Was he purposely doing that?
He wasn't taking it seriously. He
Yeah,
literally stops and goes, "I hate that song."
Whatever.
And like.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Also, he's kind of mocking Max. That's the other thing. Like, I don't understand. Are we supposed to feel bad for him? Like, he's mentally ill? Because then he's like, oh, Spider-Man is supposed to quip. And then he's like, sparkles. And he's kind of mocking a mentally ill person. Like, he's a monster. You know?
Yeah.
You guys there? Okay. All right.
I'm trying to think about, like, I'm trying to wrap because there's so many issues I have with this sequence. Like, it's cool visually in some ways.
I like it. Yeah. Electro is cool visually. That's about all you can say.
Yeah, but that's the problem there, where it's like the writing, the pacing, the way the characters are designed, just sort of ripping it to shreds. And then, okay, after Electro gets murdered, okay, you get the Goblin coming in out of nowhere for like literally, what, 5 minutes?
Less, or yeah, like 5 minutes.
I don't mind that, but okay, so the Goblin comes in. Gwen needs to not be there. Like, what the hell? Why does she keep standing? I was really looking at it, like, this is so stupid. He's clearly like putting together that they're both there. He's met her before. Like, she doesn't need to be there. She helped Peter beat Electro. Get out of there. So then he grabs her, and I feel like I right away would have been like, okay, I'll give you the blood. Like, don't kill her. Straight up, just don't kill her. I'll give you the blood.
Yeah.
Like,
well, at that point, I feel like he's a little bit too far gone. Like,
yeah, but you got to try something. Your strategy can't be like, kill her.
I don't know. Like, that's all he wants. So anyway, he gets on the clock tower, and then they start battling, and they tease a lot that she's gonna fall, but she doesn't. He keeps catching her. At one point, Peter is like being held down by Harry, and like the thing for me about that is the suit would give him like mechanical power.
Yeah, he would have abilities.
Yeah, like Peter has explosive power, like organic explosive power. He could like kick him off. Him having the suit on is not going to stop Peter from like kicking the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
And like, so I don't know, like the movie doesn't understand that clearly, because like they're somehow like equal strength. It's not going to give him bigger biceps. It gives him like, he could probably carry more. It's like reinforced, but it's not like, it doesn't work like for fighting. Not really anyway. And I thought the sequence with Gwen, we go back into the freeze frame. It goes on probably a little too long, but when she hits that concrete, like the movie,
dude, that's a pretty brutal scene. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
I was like, holy shit.
And I really felt the dread. Like, I didn't want her to die. I liked her. She's the only part of the movie that was good. And like, to have her die,
that scene really well.
She was very happy the whole time. You know, she had a great personality, and yeah, like she was the only real person. She actually had things that she wanted to do, and looking towards a brighter future. And I liked her, and so that the movie is, I don't know. I gave it a win. Like, you can't argue with that part.
No, I agree. That part is amazing, and it's part of the reason it's elevated to a draw for me. But there's just so much of this like weird nonsense.
Yeah,
that I just can't.
It's really just the writing.
Yeah.
So my feeling is he should have murdered the Goblin. He should have murdered
One
Harry.
second.
What do you think, Everett?
He should have murdered. Why?
Because he just killed Gwen.
Yeah, but Spider-Man's not like a murderer. Like, they did that in the comics. Like,
Yeah, he is. He can do that. He can cross that line.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
I was saying he should have murdered Harry. After that. And then what you do is, assuming Captain Stacy is still alive, people see him do it. I mean, he goes. Come on. You're never
Yeah,
gonna
the
get
movie
another-
lets him off way too easily too, because like within a couple minutes of her dying, he's like back saving the day, quipping.
Yeah, they just spent like 2 full movies of him saying how much he loves her, and then she just died at the hands of this maniac. Peter's right there. This is Uncle Ben all over again. Don't you think that he would lose it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You have a point, especially since they've built this Spider-Man up to be vengeful.
Even if he
I
doesn't
could buy
kill
him murdering him,
right
or
there,
at least like heavily injuring him.
he could beat the shit out of him. And Captain Stacy could see it. People could video it. He becomes like public enemy number 1. On top of that, even if you have Harry live, he could still try to organize the villains or whatever. But like I said, the third movie, the cops are after him. The villains are after him. Aunt May's like world is turned upside down. Like the whole thing should go like just insane. It would be the craziest film. It would be so awesome.
Man, you know what I want to see now? Like, I want to see Spider-Man unhinged now. Like, that would be a kick-ass fight scene.
I mean, I think this is the movie to do it. Like, even if you don't want him to kill the Goblin, it needs to be like brutal. He needs to lose it. And because then look what we get instead. Like, he mourns, and I think the movie is effective at showing him mourning. But then he comes back. And it's like Emerson said, in the movie it's like 5 months. But in the movie,
in real time,
it's like 3 minutes.
Yeah, and he's like back at it, swinging, saving the day to stop the, what the fuck is it called? The Rhino.
The Rhino.
Also, I'd like to point out, I vaguely remember watching the trailer for this when I was younger, and like the Rhino was featured heavily in the trailer to make you think that that's like the first villain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people were mad about the fact that it just ended there.
Well, I mean, I'm glad because I fucking hate that
I'm not
character.
mad. I don't care.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
character was garbage. And then they have that scene where it's like we see the octopus arms, the vulture wings.
That's such weird casting. Paul Giamatti.
As a Russian, as the Rhino.
I mean, he's clearly like playing it to ham it up.
Rhino!
Yeah, he's hamming it up, but it's like, why him? And what the fuck were you gonna do with him? Also, the plan of like we're gonna start with him. So your plan is to build up the villains one at a time and send them out to be destroyed.
Yeah. I
Like
don't know.
really, like how is that the plan? He just got busted again.
He'll defeat all 6 of them, and then they'll join together.
But think about the R&D that you put into that Rhino suit.
And he just gets destroyed.
You just sent him out by himself, and yeah, that's the plan? This doesn't make any sense. Sorry. Anyway, so I think that this movie should have ended like on a sadder note. And if they had done that, it would have been like the Empire Strikes Back of superhero movies, which Infinity War kind of was, but like this could have beat it to the punch, because think about it. Peter Parker does like something unspeakable. The police have turned against him. Aunt May realizes like what's going on. He lost Gwen Stacy. He lost the love of his life. Basically, he's got nothing at this point. His world is turned completely upside down. Yes, he saved the day, but not the way that it was supposed to be done. And like that would be like, I would be like, I want to see the third one. I want to know what happens. Instead, the movie just gives you what happens. Everything's back to status quo except no more Gwen.
Weren't they originally supposed to have a Mary Jane Watson in this?
Yes, that was one of the things I forgot. That was one of the Sony leaks. They had Shailene Woodley. And I don't know if you guys remember her. She's most famous for that George Clooney movie where like his kids are rich. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Well,
Her name is what?
Oh, this woman.
Shailene Woodley. She might be famous for like a Gossip Girl type show, something like that.
Oh, she's from Divergent. That's who she is.
She's
The
in
Fault in Our
Divergent.
Stars. Yeah.
She's
That's
The
who they were
Secret
gonna
Life of
use?
the American Teenager.
Big Little Lies. The Descendants is that George Clooney movie.
Ooh, I don't know.
So here's what happened.
She was in Snowden.
Here's what happened to her. They had okay. She's not. I'm not saying she's ugly, but she is like, her face is not classically Hollywood beautiful. Like I think she's pretty. But I like. So they showed set photos. Maybe you can find them, where she was on set for Amazing Spider-Man, and she looked a little crusty, and like no makeup. I'm not sure what they were going for, but the set photos came out. Are you guys? Can you guys see the pictures?
Yeah, I'm finding them. Wow.
So I mean, she's not. I'm not saying she's hideous or anything, but and I think she's like a good-looking redhead too. On top of it, but I don't know what's going on in those set photos. She's clearly
Yeah,
like,
something is wrong.
So anyway, there was a lot of backlash. Everyone was saying that she's not hot enough, and the movie cut her out. Now I don't know if they cut her out because of that, because honestly, where the fuck do you fit in Mary Jane? Is it going to be the same as like Alistair Smythe, who has one line, Felicia Hardy that has one line? Probably it would have been like that. And there's no reason for her. There's no reason for the other two either, but there's no reason for her more than any of them, especially with the
Right.
Gwen Stacy. You're going to introduce a second love interest while she...
As you murder the first.
If I had a guess, I would say that she was going to be the ending. Like he meets her at the end.
She's like, hi.
That would have been rushed. His
They're
girlfriend
That would
just
not have
died.
been
No,
good.
they're not going to be... It's not a full-blown relationship. It's just like they meet each other at the end
But-
after he's grieved for like 6 months.
Yeah, but the problem is you can't show the grieving for 6 months in like 3 minutes. So it would come off as weird.
Right. Yeah. So either way, she got cut from the movie. So it's
Yeah.
kind of weird
Yeah.
and bizarre.
I just sent you guys the deleted scene with his dad coming back at the end, just in case you guys want to watch it at some point.
Yeah, I'll watch
Eventually.
it later. Okay. So let me see where we are.
Have we said everything we need to say about this?
Yeah, I'm trying to do the timestamp since we got cut off. I think we're at. Did you guys ever leave the call?
No.
Do you know how long we've been on this?
It doesn't say
No.
anything for me.
Okay. Yeah, I think we had 17 minutes in, but it might have been 7. I don't know. All right. All right. Do you have a fight of the week?
Yeah, so my fight of the week, Kia, was actually a question which you've kind of been hinting at this whole time. I think that for these type of movies where it becomes more difficult to find something, I'd like to do like, how do you fix it? But
Yeah.
since you already been kind of doing that the entire time, I guess my question would be, do you think there's a better way? Like, how would you write Electro, assuming it's Jamie Foxx? How do you want to see him appear in a new movie if he's going to be the main villain?
Yeah. So the thing about Electro is like, he's kind of stupid, isn't he?
I mean, the character seems like he's an idiot, yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I like the electric powers, but that's also like that can't carry a movie. He's just gonna shoot electricity at things, so you have to find some way to either block it or like to suppress it.
Okay.
So, having said that, what kind of character is he supposed to be? I would stay 100% away from that, like, scorned employee thing, because I know that's been done already. So I look at that, and I go, this is a guy who wants as much power as possible and then gets it, like, literally. So he could have been, like, some type of criminal, like high-stakes criminal, that was like pulling heists or whatever, like kind of like Sandman, except without the daughter part. But like he was kind of unhinged, like almost like what they're trying to do with Carnage, like not a straight murderer, but like this guy wants it all, and
Right.
then as soon as he gets the powers, it's like I'm living the dream. Like I can do whatever I want, nothing can stop me. I like how powerful he is in this movie, like especially against Spider-Man. Spider-Man gets kind of screwed up against him.
Yeah.
I like that. I think he should be a big threat in that way, but ultimately he needs to be paired with someone else. And I don't think that the Goblin was the wrong choice.
So you think, but like, there's a lot of weird news, which I'm assuming some of which we'll talk to, that's coming out about the next Spider-Man. But if you were in charge of it, you wouldn't say, hey, Jamie Foxx's Electro can be the main villain.
He'd have to be one of two at least. Yeah.
Okay.
And like not even Rhino. I don't mind Rhino.
Well, how do you do it, though? Because I remember Rhino from the animated cartoon. That was...
So here's the thing.
Oof.
What's the difference between Shocker and Electro?
Shocker uses gloves, whereas Electro is made of electricity.
I
But-
think
but that's kinda it,
Electro's
right?
more focused on at least I'm basing it off the PS4 game. He's more like not self-centered. It's more like I don't know. He's more focused on like becoming energy, like obsessed with energy. While Shocker's more like a petty criminal almost. He's
Well,
like
that's
lower
what
tier.
I'm saying. He should be Shocker to start, and then get turned into Electro.
That's not a bad idea. And that also gives him more of an arc and more stuff to do.
Yeah,
Because you
then,
get him at the beginning.
like you could replace that Rhino sequence with a Shocker sequence, which sets up the villain a little better. Instead of having
Yeah.
all that extra also like set up all the screen time they put into setting him up. But yeah, he's kind of a tough one because he's basically like all power, and there's not a whole lot of nuance. Like you can give him nuance, but you want to stick with the theme of like I want more power. So I'm
Right.
thinking like you could make him some type of political person, but that's not fun to watch.
What about like a high up, like a CEO, like a ruthless CEO, like
That's what
business
I'm
guy?
Thinking, but
He's like, he's screwing people over. He's like, and he starts to lose his power because like he's getting nudged out by Oscorp or Stark or something.
but then he's not. Then he's not Shocker. Like he's not going to be Shocker if he's a high like CEO.
That's true. Yeah.
But okay, how about this power? What if he was like a cult leader?
That could be interesting. And they think he's like a deity.
Like he starts with like his small band of like redneck inbred people, something like that. I don't know, like just like degenerate people. And while he's Shocker, and he's like stealing for them, and they like love him, and then he becomes Electro and he becomes an actual god, and like people start to like embrace him.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you could even
Yeah.
like turn that against Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man's trying to stop him. People don't want that.
Right. Yeah. And he could be like, I'm being criticized, like I'm being attacked.
That's
like,
probably what I would do. I mean, it's crazy. Like I just came up with that off the top of my head, and like they put how much money into this movie, and the best they could get was like the Riddler's origin story from Batman Forever.
Yeah, I mean, I often wonder if I don't know. There's got to be some sort of constraints, right? There's something that keeps putting out these like horrible scripts.
It's because I think the dynamic, especially at Sony, they don't respect the genre, and a lot of fans don't respect it either. Like they'll take shit and think it's gold, but they have no respect, and because of that, they think they don't like these movies. I'm pretty sure. Like I don't
They
think
just
Amy
make them because of the money.
Yeah, I don't think Amy Pascal is
Yeah.
like, I love Spider-Man. I can't wait to see like the next villain. No, she's thinking these idiot mouth breathers will go see any movie that we make. Therefore, we should keep making movies and as many movies as possible. And like they'll hang on to anything because a certain demographic will. A certain amount of people will be like, what, a Morbius film? Like I kind of think that the Morbius film looks good, but just the fact that it exists will bring in a certain amount of money.
Or like you can look at something like The Mandalorian, where so many people praise it.
Right. And it has like so little substance, and yet you keep getting this positive reinforcement. So they're making these movies, and they don't know that it's a bad script because they're not writers, and also like they think that okay, their impression of comic books are like they're for kids, which they are.
And they're like they're gonna eat whatever they get. They're just gonna take
because
it,
some of the
which they're
stories are
right.
stupid, right? Like some of the stories are genuinely stupid. So when you see that in the script, and you're like, yeah, that's exactly what the comic is. So there's nothing wrong with that. And it goes under the radar. I mean, you have a lot of people in Sony that are out of touch too, but
Yeah.
they have power. So, all right. So, moving on to the roundup. Did you guys watch The Mandalorian episode 2?
Yep.
I didn't. I watched something else. So I'll tell you after.
So we'll talk about it in spoilers here. Everett, I thought that this was a decent episode.
Really? I thought it was a little soon for them to do filler.
The whole show is filler.
Yeah,
So-
but like nothing happened the entire episode. They were stuck
So
in a
the only
cave
thing
the
I
entire
know about this episode is I saw a post on Instagram from one of these like groups that has been like hyping it up, and they said my review mediocre,
well, I think
and they were getting ripped to shreds in the comments. People were like, "You're totally wrong. This was an amazing episode." Like,
yeah, I think the cat's out of the bag a little bit. People are sort of jumping on the whole, like, it doesn't have substance. Like, people are becoming woke to that. But this episode, I'll just tell you a brief synopsis. It like he hears that there's like Mandalorians on some other place, and he has to transport this alien without using the hyperdrive, so because her eggs will be destroyed. And she claims that her husband is on the planet that they're going to, and that he's seen the Mandalorians. So his goal is to deliver her there. And then on the way there, they get stopped by Imperial troops, right?
The New Republic.
Yeah. He gets stopped
the
by
New
the
Republic.
by the good guys.
X-wings. They're basically cops.
Yeah. And he tries to avoid them, and they crash land, and there's a monster, and they run away. And then at the end, they, everything is back to normal, and then I think it ends with them like heading towards the planet still. Is that right?
Yeah. They're saving a majority of it for the next episode.
So I'm assuming there aren't going to be Mandalorians there,
I don't know.
or it's going to be something else.
But nothing happens other than I didn't mind like them crashing. I didn't mind the dynamic of like the passenger that they're trying to take over there. She has the fragility of her eggs, and like there's monsters. It's okay. Like I'll never watch it again, but like
they
it was
kept
okay.
doing this thing like they kept having Baby Yoda eat her eggs like one by one, and I kept thinking that it was gonna accumulate at the end. Like the Mandalorian teaches him about life and about like what's like what you should and shouldn't do, and they just never resolve it. She doesn't know. They never find out. It ends with him sneaking one last egg into his mouth. It didn't go anywhere.
That's
yeah.
okay.
Anyway, what did
It's
you
like
watch?
murder.
Emerson?
I have started watching The Crown.
Oh, okay.
I'm 4 episodes in, and I'm really enjoying it so far. There's a lot of things that like I didn't really know about. That it's like generally like the Mountbatten versus Windsor stuff, the fog of London, the attempting unseating of Churchill, where like I kind of knew something happened, but I didn't fully understand. And it's a really interesting look at that. I will say what I am kind of missing is I wish there had been a season. I mean, I don't know what goes forward, but I wish there had been a season during World War II. Like, that would have been really interesting, I think, to see, like, because I know the royal family was doing a lot of stuff then.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think they were trying to make it like, it starts with her.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense, of course. It's just, like, some of the stuff...
yeah, they should have. Yeah.
Her father saying, like, about the meetings and the dark times, and she says I was a mechanic during the war when she's in Africa.
See, so the initial plan was that they're going to do 6 seasons, and every 2 years they're going to like age up and recast.
Right.
So World War II doesn't really fit into that.
Right. That's true. But I don't know. I'm really excited. I'm going to keep watching it, of course. But
yeah,
that's just something.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because if you saw that the Churchill movie that just came out,
Darkest Hour.
Yeah. Like he meets with is it King George? Yeah, it's King George.
Yeah.
And it's played by God, I don't remember anyone's names right now. But the King George is played by the villain in Rogue One. What's his name? Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben Mendelsohn?
Yeah. He's King George in that. So you get to see like a touch of it.
Okay.
I'm
really enjoying it so far. Definitely a win.
Season 1 and 2 are my favorite. Season 3 is good. But I think that it was kind of like a boring period of time, so they were kind of like because you're kind of at the mercy of the timeline,
right?
So in order to do all the interesting Diana stuff, you have to do all the stuff before with like Camilla Parker, and like Charles as a younger man is not as interesting as Charles like as an adult, and then like the Queen kind of had nothing to do in that. It seems to me, there's like an episode on the moon landing that's kind of cool. They kind of hit a lot of the same notes with Margaret and Philip that they already hit in the first 2 seasons. So I think there was like a lot of like we're gonna try to make this as interesting as possible and build up to season 4 where it hits like high drama. And I don't know about season 5 and 6. Like they're obviously gonna age them up again, so I don't know. But I'm looking forward to season 4. I'm expecting that to be like one of the better seasons. Seasons 1 and 2 are definitely my favorite. I love the music and all that too. Yeah. So anyway, moving on. Marvel's Avengers. We're talking about gaming now.
Oh, I think I saw this.
Marvel's Avengers took a 63 million loss.
Yeah. It's hemorrhaging money.
I don't understand why it's hemorrhaging money. Like, so you're saying it took that much to make and then they lost by...
I think they didn't sell enough copies to start. I think another problem is like it didn't have the best word of mouth. I don't know are there any microtransactions in the game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can buy credits.
They probably didn't get as many of those as they were anticipating. And remember they developed this for Xbox, PS4, PC, I think, and they're also developing it for the next gen consoles.
So let me read you this article. Over the years, there have been several attempts to match the success of Bungie's Destiny and Destiny 2 and the games as a service model. This is a strategy to continuously generate revenue from a game years after its initial launch by offering continuous story updates, expansions, DLC, and other cosmetic transactions on a weekly or monthly basis. So far, no other game has come close to matching Destiny 2's financial success and popularity, with BioWare's Anthem being the most recent failure. And isn't Destiny 2 kind of like terrible?
They have a new DLC coming out in 3 days.
Let me correct this. Everyone we talk to agrees it's terrible, yet I also know 3 people who have said they're buying the new DLC.
Is Everett one
Everett,
of them?
Everett's
I am definitely one of them. There's nothing to play. That's my excuse.
Oh my god. What do you mean? Don't you have a PS4?
Yeah, I've been playing Spider-Man.
And a
on my spare
PC.
time.
There's a ton of stuff you can get on PC.
But there's like a lot of games, a lot of really good games on PS4 that you never touched.
Yeah, I guess I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima yet.
My theory is you're addicted.
Yeah, you haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, you didn't play Last of Us, and you're going to go back to
I don't really want to play
Destiny?
Last of Us. Like, I don't think that's really my thing.
I just
What?
it's fine that you're like buying the DLC, but even you've admitted, Everett, you're probably going to play it for like 2 weeks and then not touch it again.
It's something to do, and I always find myself coming back to Destiny at some point, so it'll be something to do in the future.
I'm telling you, if you get into some PC games, these are games you can do at any time, alone or with people, and just play them. Like, there's a lot, and for cheaper, and that gives you way more quality of life. But whatever. Anyways, what were we saying, Kia?
So anyway, Tokyo-based Square Enix reported a loss of about 6.5 billion yen in a division of the company that completed the games as a service take on Earth's Mightiest Heroes. The report also reveals that the game only sold 60% of what Square had initially projected. Online mathematicians have figured out that missing out on 40% of intended sales means it only sold about 3 million copies worldwide since its launch 2 months ago, netting a loss of 63 million. For comparison, Destiny 2 sold just under 2 million copies in the first week of its release. See, my thing with the game is, like, I think that the campaign sucks. And because I only want to play with friends. Like, I think when Everett and I are playing, it's fun. It's not
Right.
like super...
Despite the numerous amount of glitches that haven't been fixed yet.
Yeah, it's not like super mentally taxing. It's just kind of like a game we can just jump into at any time and just sort of grind out some missions and whatever. I'll jump around as the Hulk and Everett will like shoot Iron Man's beams and it is what it is. But then like there's single player, which I can only play by myself. And like the game's not fun enough for that, in my opinion. And then on top of that, the menus, I don't know, maybe Emerson, you'd feel differently about this, but the menus are so awful. I'm not
How
used to
so?
these. I don't
What's
play
the-
these
what's the
kinds of
biggest-
games.
What's the thing you can compare it to?
Okay, it's like Breakpoint on steroids in terms of, like, there's so many menus.
Well, I didn't like Breakpoint's menus either. It took me forever to even half
But
figure
I'm not
it
talking
out.
about, like, the actual UI. I'm talking about there's so much crap in the game, like, that are all sort of related to, like, DLC or microtransactions or, like, gear. And there's just so much crap that someone like me who's, like, I came from Spider-Man and Batman Arkham, like, I don't even know what to do with it. I don't know. It's so overwhelming. And then on top of that, like, whenever I spawn in, the game keeps spawning me at the back of the helicarrier, and, like,
And you have to run all the way to the front.
there's some merchant there that I don't know what I'm supposed to do with him, and, like, and then I try to do the menus, like, I run all the way to the front of the ship, I try to get on the map and try to find missions, and, like, all the missions I already did are still there, which is kind of confusing. I have to, like, go over each one and it'll tell me mission completed or not. And then there's so many different ones, and some are single player and some are multiplayer, and, like, I don't know what the hell's going on anymore.
Yeah,
You know
it
what I'm
sounds too
convinced
cluttered.
happened? Because this game's been in development for like 7 years at this point. It's been a long time. I'm convinced that at some point, at the beginning of its conception, it wasn't going to be a live service game. It was going to be a single player game similar to the Arkham games or Spider-Man PS4. And then once Destiny and Destiny 2 and Fortnite and all the other games that do microtransactions and live service started to rise in popularity, they thought to themselves, maybe we can evolve this game into something like that that'll make us more money and be more profitable and last a long time. Which is why a lot of those things don't really seem like they belong there, and they're really, like, grossly added in. And, like, I don't know. I would have preferred this game more like Arkham, except with multiplayer. Can you imagine how fun it would be if we could play a nice, fresh campaign with 4 people? You can already have AI teammates.
The only thing about that is it would need an open world, and, like, I don't know, like, let's just say they somehow took the map from the Spider-Man game and they put Avengers in it. That could be fun. In fact, that would be really fun. But you'd still just be on Manhattan. And who cares? There's, like, you and 3 other friends. And
Just to address what Everett said about, like, how he feels like it's been in development for so long, I think the reason that you're talking about all these menus, Kia, is because they, as the article says, this is designed to be a Destiny-style live service game, okay? They are probably trying to backload everything in, like future DLC, past DLC, replay the mission. It's designed to be confusing. The game is trying to trick you that there's a lot of stuff to do, because that's how these games survive. In Destiny, it was literally you play the same 4 or 5 missions over and over again.
yeah, I know.
I mean, that's basically what they do in this game. Like, every mission we do is the same thing. Go
It
to
is.
a
How
much did
place,
the new
beat up
Destiny
enemies,
DLC
sit on
cost,
pad
Everett?
for 5 minutes, and then the mission's over.
How much does the new Destiny DLC cost?
At its lowest, $40, I think.
$40. So
What
you're
the
basically playing
fuck?
2/3 the price
To
of Destiny
grind.
2 again. And here's what it's going to be. Okay, it's going to be like 6 or 7 campaign missions. I know nothing about it. I'm just predicting. 6 or 7 campaign missions, 1 to 3 new strikes, maybe a new type of game mode, and maybe a new raid. And what it is going to end up being is do these strikes over and over again, do this raid over and over again, and it just becomes boring. And that's the problem with these live service games, because a game that gets, like, new content monthly does not sound like a bad thing. I don't think anyone is, like, against that. But the problem is it's not real content, because you can't have enough content to give something meaningful every month. So what it ends up being is stuff like this, where it says it's new, but really what it is it's a new thing to do over and over again till the next thing. Whereas, like, I don't think anyone would be complaining if, like, Wildlands got a new province added every month. Like, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
A game like that where it literally just keeps getting bigger, there's new missions, new enemies. But the problem is that that's too much work to do in a small amount of time and to do correctly. So what they fall back on is they fall back on these types of missions and levels that are functionally almost identical to what already exists, and they just change them. One of the things that always triggered me about Destiny specifically is they would say, we're adding a new race. And the race would literally be a reskin of the old races.
Yeah.
Oh, we added the Taken. What are the Taken? They're all the other enemies, but they have a different shader. Oh, we're adding this other thing. What are they? Oh, well, they're the same as these guys. They just look different. Like a little bit. It's like, okay, whatever.
Anyway, moving on. Miles Morales has its initial reviews. Basically, it's the consensus is that it's fantastic, and the two criticisms I saw were that it's a shorter game. It's only about 11 hours, and then that it doesn't have that many villain fights, which is interesting.
What is a villain fight? Like, is that like a boss fight?
Yeah. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, but otherwise, like, I'm super excited for it. I really
When
like
does that
that
come out?
universe. November 12th, I believe.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like on
Yeah.
Thursday. I think,
Friday.
right? Or
Friday, yeah. On Tuesday, Valhalla comes out.
I'm not gonna buy that.
I will buy that eventually, I think. Mass Effect announced the Trilogy Remaster. The biggest part of the remaster is probably Mass Effect 1, is I think completely overhauled to mesh with the first or the last two games. It doesn't seem like they've redone the ending, so
That sucks. I mean, I'll still buy a remaster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll buy that as well.
Breakpoint is getting an update.
Yeah, and it looks pretty. It looks like it could be something.
It only took them
It
almost
looks
a
like
year.
steps to being something.
Well,
Basically,
okay.
what they've done is the biggest part of the update is they've removed the drones.
Well, they've given you the ability to remove the drones, and
Right.
not all of them. Most of them.
Well, I think you can do all of them.
Well, no, there's three different settings because I've seen the sliders. You can set Azrael drones to 0. Those are the like UAVs that would come over. And then you can set all other drone presence to minimal. And what minimal means is drones only appear on missions where they have to appear or on those behemoth gardening sections.
Okay.
So,
Honestly,
but
like,
there
the
won't be
game
the
would
other
be much
ones.
more bearable had they fixed the camera angles.
Well, but that's not the only thing they added. They added this super dark night mode, which apparently could be interesting. They allow you to
But
toggle
it's aesthetic.
on the...
It's not. That's
It's
not
aesthetic,
content.
but you can also now explore the raid island solo or with friends without doing the raid.
Also, is like, what's there though?
Well, what I'm saying is I would be willing to re-download this because I already own it to check it out. To see, like...
Well,
okay,
I will check it out, but like, they didn't really add any meaningful content. They almost like took stuff away to make the game better.
Oh, 100%. Well, you know the other thing that I wish they would fucking add? Give us Wildlands Gunsmith. Let us customize the weapons like we used to be able to.
Yeah.
That was
Honestly,
so fun.
I'm
Like,
surprised why they didn't do
building-
that in the first place. They
because
already
it
took a
became
bunch
the
of the
division.
assets from
if,
Wildlands.
if you give the people the ability to customize their weapon, then people will end up only using one or two types of weapons because they can build it into whatever they want. They wanted you to grind to get the right type of weapon so you would get the different rarity tiers and blah, 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 blah.
I'm not a fan of that.
No one is.
At least
Well,
in Breakpoint, I'm not
I
a
just
fan
think
of
it's
that.
a little like funny that the game is essentially they've. I don't even. I'm shocked that they're even continuing to support it. Like, I thought the game was dead.
I mean,
It's not
you
like
know,
people are
You made a
playing
good
it.
point, though, Kia. Is this really support? Because all this is really doing is messing with the stuff already in the game.
But like, even that, you're putting manpower on a game that you have to assume is dying. Like, there's no multiplayer. No one's playing that multiplayer. It's
Yeah,
garbage.
well, according to the subreddits, like 100 loyal followers, the game is the best ever.
Well, it might
Well-
actually be something good now, but the game is dead. Seems like a lot of effort into something that they kind of already
Ubisoft
botched.
has a history of doing this, though. They take, like, For Honor was dead at a point, and they, like, resurrected it. Rainbow Six Siege was supposed to be dead in the water, but it became, like, this giant thing.
And Splinter Cell. Oh wait.
What about Division?
Yeah, it's strange they haven't... It's strange, yeah, they did support Division for a long time, weirdly. It's strange that they ignored... It must be a ratio. It's the microtransactions. That's what it is. They can't find a way to monetize Splinter Cell enough.
Yeah.
Didn't you say something about Breakpoint removing the Terminators or something?
You can do that too.
You can toggle them on and off at
Which
any
is
time.
they're
you
so
can bring them
stupid
back.
anyway.
You can
They
take
were
them off.
like, are they coded better? Because they were fucking stupid.
No, do you remember that one time we were playing and the Terminator started like walking up an invisible ramp? It was like flying.
I just remember like they tried to get you to. They like build it as you need the specific weapon to take them down from the future, and all I just remember, I got in a helicopter and bombed the shit out of one of them and immediately killed it. So it was
the problem is
effortless.
the weapon was the only way to kill them at the end, but whatever.
All right, trailers. I don't know if this is a new trailer, but Cobra Kai season 3 had a trailer.
I didn't
It
see
did?
it.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I don't know if it's new. I'd never seen it, but basically, it basically recaps season 2, and then at the end it's like Miyagi never told you his dark secrets. I think he goes to Japan. I don't know, but anyway, the season 3 comes out in January, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Everett's game of smartass.
Okie dokie. Kia, it is your turn to start this week.
All right, I'll go for who.
Who? All right. You guys ready?
Yep.
Here we go. I am a human being. I have appeared in several movies, television shows, and video games. My first appearance was in the 1940s. I am arguably one of the most famous comic book characters of all time. I am extremely violent and psychotic.
Joker.
Yeah. Wow, that was fast.
Well, I mean, there were only a couple options,
Yeah,
Extremely violent and psychotic.
and like well known.
It's not Superman.
And like one of the oldest. Yeah, I was like, okay.
There's not a lot I can say about the Joker, but yeah,
No.
nice job.
No, it's fine.
All right, what's next? Emerson, you choose.
Thing.
Place or thing? Thing? Okay, here we go. Ready?
Yep.
I am small enough to fit comfortably in your hand. I was released in July of 2018. I have been featured in at least 2 video game titles. I have a short range of effectiveness. I have 5 usable shots of ammunition. I require a lock-on to use properly. I am the special ability of a specific playable class. I am used to provide health or to revive injured teammates. My initials are SP.
Surgeon pistol.
That's correct, but it's not the
Dude,
correct
I was
wording.
so lost. I was like, it's got to be something we all know. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Well, I don't know. You said I'm correct, but it's not the
I
right
would have
word.
also it is the surgeon pistol. I would have also accepted stim pistol.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'll give you
Okay.
that one.
I thought it was gonna be that Pokeball gotcha thing.
That's what I thought at first, but then he started saying the healing thing, and my mind went to like division, but I was like, that's not fair because Kia doesn't know that stuff. So I was like, what do we play?
Well, it's also like it's from 2 video game titles, because that's the hint I was trying to give you at least, because it's from Ghost Recon, but it came from Rainbow Six.
Oh yeah, dude, I haven't thought about Rainbow in so long.
All right.
All right.
Anyway, on to the
Last
last one.
one.
Place. You guys ready?
Mhm.
All right. I am one of the largest locations in the world I exist in. I have been featured in at least 2 separate television shows. I am sometimes known for my isolation from the rest of the world. I contain a university, various shops, and a royal palace. I take inspiration from Chinese locations such as Kowloon and the Forbidden City.
Earth Kingdom.
No. I have many different zones designated for citizens of a specific social status. I am also known by the nickname the Impenetrable City. I am the site of General Iroh's greatest military defeat.
Bossing say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real. When Kia said like the Earth Kingdom, I was like, that's it, right? And then you said like, I was like, wait, that's right. And then I forgot what the fuck the city was called.
All right, well, you got the final question, so do you want the extra question?
Always.
Okay, your extra question for Double or Nothing is, what is the name of Iroh's tea shop that is located in Ba Sing Se?
Oh, wait. The one he makes himself?
The one at the end of the series that he makes.
The
It has a
Jasmine
name.
Dragon?
Yep, correct.
I wouldn't have got that.
You each got 2 points this week, so our current score is Emerson 29, Kia 33.
Oh, man.
Count the score. Count the score. Stop the score count. Stop the score count.
All right. For news, we have a lot of little news. So there are more delays. As expected, Disney-owned 20th Century announced earlier this week that both Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds movie, and Murder on the Orient Express have both been removed from the studio's release schedule.
Shocking.
Murder on the Orient Express hasn't come out yet?
Free Guy was supposed to come out on December 11th, while the other one had been December 28th. So I was like...
Free Guy seems like the type of thing they can just put online.
Yeah. And like also Wonder Woman hasn't been delayed, but it will. Everyone expects. All right. Loki has been already approved for a second season.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. I don't like this idea. Like, there's too many shows, and I don't think they have enough story. And it's like he's already greenlit for season 2. Like, how cheap is it to make these shows now?
They're making them the same way they make Mandalorian, I bet you.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
Yeah.
Especially Loki definitely seems like he's gonna have like an adventure of the week.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a rumor that Zack Snyder's Justice League was canceled because the trailer got pulled, but it's because there was like some rights issues with that Hallelujah song. And so yeah, that's all. It's still coming out. Tenet is being released on home video December 14th.
Hey, we'll be able to review it.
Yeah.
December 15th.
Finally.
Yeah, it's I mean, I guess this is when it would probably have come out anyway on home video. So I guess they're basically, I mean, I guess they're just saying we're not going to have it in the theater then. I mean, it is in the theater, but like not really. You can't go. Most people can't see it. So they basically threw in the towel. Interesting.
Yeah.
I have some comments from Christopher Nolan. Tenet has grossed just shy of $350 million at the worldwide box office since being released in September, with a little over $50 million of that coming from the U.S. The movie's performance has caused real uncertainty, as we've seen a number of blockbusters, Black Widow and No Time to Die, vacate 2020. Christopher Nolan said, "I am worried that the studios are drawing the wrong conclusions from our release, that rather than looking at where the film has worked well and how that can provide them with much needed revenue, they're looking at where it hasn't lived up to pre-COVID expectations and will start using that as an excuse to make exhibition take all the losses from the pandemic instead of getting in the game and adapting or rebuilding our business, in other words." I don't get what he's saying. Like, he's like, okay, I think he's kind of throwing some shade at America. Is that what he's saying?
I think that's what he's trying to say, but it's like, dude, do you realize what's going on?
Well, okay, other parts of the world are also now in great turmoil with the virus.
Yeah, because its second wave is hitting as winter comes.
Yeah, so in other parts of the world, they did okay. I guess, America is a huge part of their budget, and so that's not going to happen, obviously. So he's saying they should look into where they were able to get money and do more there, like in the foreign areas. And in the U.S., they should like just kind of eat that and kind of ignore it. And it's like, I don't know. I feel really bad. Like someone makes a movie like on that scale, and then people can't see it. Like it's kind of, at some point you want them to just be like, give it up. Yeah. But I understand why he wouldn't. Still, the movie just needs to come out on video and like, it's over.
The other thing, like I understand what he's saying, but the problem is like the U.S. like we have more cases than any country in the world, even during our like low time. Yeah. So it was like what are you expecting people to do?
It kind of shows you how much power he has on the studio though to like hold out this long. But yeah, I think it's over. Okay, what else? A Boba Fett show is now in the works.
Oh, great.
And will probably come out before season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Oh my God.
Jesus
it's so
Christ.
stupid because like a Boba Fett show is a terrible idea unless you're gonna make it just like the Mandalorian, in terms of like the kind of tone and story that they have. He's basically like on his own. You would have to make it way more serious, almost like Logan, because Mandalorian's a little too happy. But
Boba Fett is actually a villain. Like, they can't make him.
I
the
know, but it's like,
anti-hero.
how are
They
you gonna
can
give
make
him
him
a
whatever the
show?
hell they want, dude. They're
how
just
can
gonna
you
do
make a
whatever
show?
they want, and it's gonna be whatever they say, and people are gonna be like, "This is amazing."
Like, he should be in Mandalorian, elevating Mandalorian. He should not be given his own show. Like, how cheap is it to make these shows? I don't understand. How can they just keep
I'm telling you,
making
with
show
that
after show?
CGI thing they have, they can literally do whatever they want anywhere. They don't need anything.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
All right, Johnny Depp has lost his libel case against the Sun newspaper, which
And
claimed
so
that he was a
depressing.
wife beater. And during the court case, a lot of dirty laundry was aired in public, which is to say, like, he's fucking nuts too. They're both
Yeah.
crazy. But I don't understand why he... Okay, so the news is that he's been asked to resign by Warner Brothers from his role as Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts. And he is going to comply. Now, I don't care because I feel like good for him. He's out of that shitty series.
Yeah.
Also, why him and not her out of Aquaman?
Double standard.
Like, that's... I don't want to see her... To be honest, I don't think people should lose their jobs over this, like, marriage bullshit stuff that happens. It sounds like two psycho people got together and acted psycho. And I have nothing to do with it. I don't care who's playing, like, Mira. But if you're going to get rid of him, which they did, you should get rid of her, too. The same logic applies. Other than she's a woman. All right, Witcher production. Apparently, Witcher has had to be halted because of a lot
COVID.
of COVID. Yeah, so that's that.
That sucks.
And then Black Widow on Budapest. We all agreed that we had to find out what happened in Budapest, Scarlett Johansson said. That started out as this throwaway line which Joss Whedon threw into Marvel's The Avengers as a funny moment between Hawkeye and Black Widow. That's Clint and Natasha talking about their history, and you get a fun little Easter egg for fans to theorize about. We thought that if we don't go back to Budapest and find out what really happened there, people will feel unsatisfied. I wonder what did happen there. Black Widow is not about what happened in Budapest, but it's a huge jumping off point for us to understand the heaviness of Natasha's burden. So, I'm okay with it if they tie it into the script in a good way. But if not, like, I don't really need the... Remember how, like, they did Fury's Eye?
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
want that.
Don't do that. So, anyway. What else? Let's see. Sorry. Alright, there is a Black Widow plot details. This is David Harbour talking about his Red Guardian character. The connection to him and Black Widow is that they were set up as a spy family in America in the 90s. So Rachel Weisz's character, Melina, was sort of the mom, Alexei was the dad, and Natasha and Yelena were the little kids. We see that in the beginning of the movie, and they sort of function as a family. So they knew each other from long ago, and they lost touch for almost 20 years. And when we pick up, Alexei's had this deep knowledge of Natasha in a certain way that no one else had when she was a kid. He took her from the Red Room and also put her back into the Red Room because he believed in the cause.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, you kind of knew all that from the trailer.
Yeah, I mean,
So
whatever.
the CW verse, apparently they're taking what they used to call the Arrowverse and turned it into the CW verse.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the last like Flash special where they all crossed over, they merged all the shows together.
And so Stephen Amell was like, "That's stupid. Why would they call
Good.
it that?" But also it's like, I don't know. I don't care.
No one really cares.
It's kind of weird. Like the CW verse that's the name of the channel.
Yeah. But to be fair, though, Arrowverse didn't really make sense either.
Well, especially since Arrow doesn't even like that show's not even on anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, the last thing is 10 comic book events Marvel Studios should adapt next. So number 10 is Marvel Zombies,
Okay.
which is like, that's never going to happen. Maybe in a what if thing. Whatever
I think it
happened to
was
that what if
confirmed.
show? I kind of want to watch that.
There is supposed to be a what if with zombies.
Yeah,
think.
okay.
Isn't that the one where
Alright.
like Spider-Man shoots his veins and arteries out instead of webs?
Anyway, this one's called Siege. After one heroic act puts Norman Osborn in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D., he goes about reshaping the world in his image and assembles a team of Dark Avengers. The former Green Goblin even suits up as the Iron Patriot, and in one final bid to cement his power as Earth's mightiest heroes begin to fight back, he launches a devastating attack on Thor's home of Asgard.
I mean, that sounds cool, like, but I don't really. Asgard's destroyed, so rip. And second of all,
What if they introduced Norman Osborn as a politician?
I'd like that.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
But anyways, the problem with this is like I don't know. That's a ways off. You have a lot of groundwork to lay.
So number 8 is Secret Empire. With Doctor Strange, blah, blah, blah. All right. The concept of an evil Cap is a fun one, and this Steve could even pose as the one who traveled back in time and returned to the present as an old man. Sure, this would mean losing the concept of Captain America being undercover. They don't really explain what it is, but my understanding is like he was revealed to be a Hydra person.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah. Annihilation. This one I've heard is pretty good. I don't know exactly what it's about. Had this event never happened, then we may never have seen James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy. Annihilation reignited the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe and rebooted the Guardians. And this version of the team actually consisted of the same roster as the movie. Earth doesn't factor into the story at all. There's no sign of Avengers or X-Men, with the likes of Nova and Quasar instead getting the chance to shine as they take on a universe-ending threat which consisted of the Annihilation Wave, a large armada of warships under the control of classic Fantastic Four villain Annihilus, who is now part of Marvel Studios.
I mean, that sounds like it could be a movie, like a Guardians 3.
You could kick off something from that, yeah. It would need probably better storytelling than they did in the comic. House of M, number 6. Manipulated by her brother, the Scarlet Witch uses her reality-altering powers to reshape the world into one where mutants are the majority and rule over the planet. However, there are some who realize things aren't right, so they embark on a quest to restore things to how they used to be. I like this idea. It seems like WandaVision is doing something like this.
But probably going to be worse.
You mean the comic was worse or the show?
No, I mean the show. I'm fairly sure the comic was whatever, but I don't think it'll be as cool as it sounds. I suspect.
They're gonna adapt elements from it. They're not
We
gonna
have to
go
see,
full
yeah.
on.
Number 5, Avengers vs. X-Men. Honestly, this event kind of sucked, but the concept was a strong one, and seeing Earth's mightiest heroes battle the X-Men led to a lot of great fights we would kill to see in a live-action setting. In the source material, when Earth's mightiest heroes interfere in the affairs of the mutant team, they fracture the Phoenix Force, leaving Cyclops, Emma Frost, Colossus, Magic, and Namor possessed by the cosmic entity. Under its sinister influence, the X-Men go about reshaping the Earth in their image with disastrous consequences.
That sounds stupid. I'm okay with like X-Men versus like Avengers, but it's not going to be all the Avengers we've known, and it's not going to be all the X-Men we've known.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'd prefer the MCU stay away from the Phoenix Force for a
Well,
little
because
bit.
like everyone's like, oh, what if it was Tony Stark versus like Wolverine, but both of them are gone, so it's gonna be like new people now.
Number 4, Secret Invasion. The shape-shifting Skrulls spent a number of years quietly replacing key members of the superhero community, carefully manipulating events around them to then make their invasion of Earth all the easier. That resulted in the Avengers being unable to trust each other, and seeing both that and them battling versions of themselves would make for a really fun adventure.
They already went away from this.
I mean, they could go back. They could go
Yeah,
back
but-
that way.
They made the scroll good.
They made one Skrull community.
Remember the post scene of fucking
Spider-Man?
Far From Home?
But it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same people though.
Yeah, but like I thought that was like the last of their species.
No, I don't think so. I think you can come back with like a terrorist Skrull, because
Okay.
Super Skrull is an enemy. I don't know. All right, number 3, War of the Realms. With all 9 realms under attack from the sinister Malekith, who might need to be recast or replaced here, Earth's mightiest heroes join Thor and female Thor in her battle against his dark elves, not to mention the likes of Dario Agger, who they think Christian Bale is playing, frost giants, and various other Asgardian baddies.
Malekith died, right?
Yeah. I mean, they could just use Dario Agger. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess.
World War Hulk. I kind of like this one, but I don't know. In the comics, Iron Man and an Illuminati of some Marvel Universe's most intelligent heroes, including Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, decide that the best way to protect the Earth is to send the Hulk into outer space. After arriving on a distant planet, the Green Goliath is forced to fight in a gladiatorial arena, but eventually escapes and finds love, until the capsule he was sent in explodes and kills her. That's Planet Hulk. It's then that the Hulk returns to Earth with an army to declare war on the heroes he holds responsible. Taking them down one by one, only the superpowered Sentry can stop the Green Goliath, and it would be epic to see the story play out on the big screen. It might take some time to build to this one, and some changes would have to be made. So they're probably not going to do this because their chance was when they sent him away at Age of Ultron.
Yeah, and then they decided they were going to go a different way.
It could
But
be
I will
a what
say,
if, I guess.
I will say I enjoyed the Planet Hulk comic, where he like beat the crap out of all of them. Mm-hmm. His number war is Secret Wars. Number 1, I should say.
They're doing Secret Wars, though.
How?
Like, that's the next step of the MCU, is they're doing Secret Wars.
Based on what?
Well, here, read it, and I'll explain
Well,
it.
no. Why don't you tell me what they're doing?
I need a reminder of what happened.
Yeah, I don't. yeah. Okay. In 1984, Marvel decided they needed to sell more toys, so they launched an event called Secret Wars, which saw just about every Marvel character thrown into the same series. The premise: when an ancient cosmic being known as the Beyonder, is that ringing a bell yet, Everett?
I think, aren't they replacing him with Galactus?
Where are you getting this from?
That's like what I've been reading.
They did
like,
not confirm Galactus in the MCU.
No, they didn't confirm it yet, but like I read like the Russo brothers were hinting at Secret Wars, and like they were setting up Secret Wars. I don't really remember the plot that well though.
When the ancient cosmic being known as the Beyonder abducted heroes and villains from Earth, he forced them to fight each other in what was essentially one big battle royale. Of course, the appeal of seeing hero on hero or villain on villain battle was huge, and with the Russo brothers keen to make it a reality, it would be crazy for Marvel Studios not to make this.
So, Secret War doesn't involve Galactus at all?
No. But that's not what he meant. They're not making this movie, Everett.
I think I got confused. I think I'm confusing Secret Wars with something else.
Also, the Russo brothers are not even tapped for any like movies right now.
What was it? If it's not Secret Wars, it's like the whole next overarching section of the MCU.
We don't
They
know what
haven't
the next
said.
section is.
Yeah.
We know they're doing Eternals.
Yeah, they haven't said. Anyway.
Maybe I got confused then.
All right, so next week, do you guys want to watch Homecoming or Civil War?
Sure. Ooh.
I don't really want to
Let's do
review Civil War.
Yeah, we've done Civil War before. I think our opinions will be the same. Let's do Homecoming, because the beginning of Homecoming kind of goes callback to Civil War anyway.
I'll probably watch Civil War, but we don't need to review it. So we'll do Homecoming next week.
All right.
All right, guys. I'll see you next time.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Iron Coop Fights Movies. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and most importantly, review our podcast on iTunes so that we can spread the show around. To contact the show, you can reach us at theironcoob@gmail.com and on Instagram at theironcoob. Join us for another edition of the Iron Coop Fights Movies.